The purpose of this research task was to assess student engagement through technology. The individual members of the group researched the topic using their teaching learning. The teaching methods were English, History, Mathematics, and PDHPE. This research was conducted through numerous data collection, for example through surveys and interviews. Student engagement refers to the degree of attention, curiosity, interest, optimism, and passion that students show when they are learning or being taught, which extends to the level of motivation they have to learn and progress in their education.
The literature review. In order to collate and present our individual literature reviews, we have decided to present the data in three main categories. 1. The benefits of ICT in relation to engagement and learning in general. 2. The limitations that present themselves with the use of ICT in the classroom. And 3. The considerations that need to be made prior to implementation of ICT in the classroom. Part 1. Benefits. The implementation of ICT allows teachers to move away from traditional dialogic ways of learning. It allows the classroom to become more of an interactive space as opposed to one that is directed mainly by the teacher. This in turn leads to greater engagement with content and more meaningful discussions to take place. It also fosters a highly collaborative workspace in the classroom, allowing students to skill share and build relationships that see a positive change in student engagement with content and on-task behaviour. ICT is a tool that allows for self-regulation and accommodates students progressing through tasks at their own pace. It can be used for the creation of resource banks of information that can be edited and updated by students and teachers. If this resource bank is stored online, students can access it at any time throughout their learning modules to refresh their memory, use it for upcoming exams and assessment tasks, and is a great tool in catching up for students who have been absent. Part 2. Limitations. Student ICT efficacy is only related to their experience with technology. That is, that most students only engage with ICT when it comes to social media, gaming, and instant messaging platforms. Their engagement in the classroom may suffer as they may not have the skills to engage with platforms that are suited to an educational context. Essentially, the learning investment required to acquire these new skills may be a deterrent for students. Not all students have access to ICT in the same manner. Many schools have BYO device policies, and these may affect the way that learning takes place in the classroom where ICT is implemented as an interactive tool. The overuse of technology creates a dependency on it and does not allow for the development of skills required for examinations, critical thinking, and skills that are developed in social learning spaces. ICT implementation may lead to independent, self-regulated work behaviours in the classroom, but this may come at a loss of meaningful and engaging classroom discussions. Another limitation that was present across the literature reviews was one that related to monitoring on-task behaviour when students use their own devices. The issue that arises with this is that the teacher cannot effectively monitor and control the applications being accessed on personal devices. Part 3. Considerations. One study showed that ICT engagement can be measured in 4 different constructs. They are academic engagement, student achievement, perceived learning and perceptions, and attitudes towards technology. This approach may ask more questions than provide answers, and it is necessary to trial different ways of learning to ensure that students are working in a supportive learning space. Teachers also need to be aware that prior to ICT implementation in the classroom, regardless of what platform is being used, instructions and a demonstration should be provided so that all students know how to use it and what is expected of them. There is also a knowledge gap that exists when trying to understand how ICT ties in with engagement, and teachers need to first know their students before they can make decisions about what sort of ICT is employed in the classroom. This process would ensure that ICT is beneficial to the students' learning. Some additional factors that come into play with the knowledge gap are: a disconnect exists between what teachers believe is engaging work and what students actually engage in. Teachers often have misguided beliefs around student abilities and the skill related to the use of ICT. And teachers need to understand that the use of ICT does not directly correlate to higher levels of engagement. So the decision lies in matching the learning space or task to how it will be presented in the classroom to achieve the intended learning outcomes. To conclude, there are many gaps that exist when considering the impact of ICT on engagement in the classroom. More research is required at the classroom level to fully understand what engagement looks like and how ICT interacts with it. It is important to note that this is a process of trial and error, and what may work in one classroom may not work in another.
Data collection through surveying meant a quantitative approach was taken. Each of the items had response options with either predetermined values or open values, Coven et al. 2016. The responses gathered from each participant were later used for data analysis that teachers could use in the future in order to promote classroom environment, fostering high level of student engagement through ICT immersion. The participants selected for this study were 20 teachers and 15 students across faculties at 4 government schools in Sydney. The faculties included history, English, PDHPE, and mathematics. The purpose of collecting data from teachers and students across faculties through different schools was to ensure breadth and generalizability of our findings. The collection protocol has been adapted from Dana in Yendal Hoppy's 2014 Guide to Classroom Research and Harvard University program on survey researchers' tip to designing survey. The mode of data collection was predominantly survey, consisting of 10 to 15 questions that aimed to measure both teachers' and students' attitudes towards the effect of technology on engagement and perceived efficacy of ICT incorporation in teaching and learning. After gathering quantitative data across faculties through different schools, we have used Excel to conduct descriptive analysis. Of the 20 teachers, 6 were in history, 3 in English, 5 in PDHPE, and 6 in mathematics faculties. Across the board, without ICT, the majority of students were only somewhat engaged, 78%. The most difficult things about using ICT in class were technical difficulties, 44%, students going off topic, 33%, students not doing work, 12%, and teachers going off topic, 11%. The level of engagement was relatively low when ICT was incorporated in teaching. The effects of mobile device use in the classroom were taking away the focus and giving distraction. Of the total time students used in technological device, only less than 25% related to learning. Teachers also spent less than 25% of the teaching time with ICT. The level of true or meaningful learning was low with the infusion of technology, and teachers showed some disapproval towards ICT in the classroom. Amongst the students, most agree that they learned more when they had access to online resources, 73%. Most were very confident in using and being engaged with the ICT applications in the classroom, 88%. Most believed that technology enhanced learning ability, 80%, and many agreed that ICT should be an integral part of classroom teaching and learning, 60%. Looking back, the limitation could have been the sample size, which was too small, although in this study, the minority of teachers responded that technology increased learning engagement by facilitating skills, making learning more meaningful, and catering to different learning styles. This type of responses could have yielded a bigger portion had the sample size been greater. In order to collect common responses, the questions were somewhat general in nature. For future study, data could be collected across different types of schools, including government, Catholic, and independent schools.